As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Yes, we say good evening to our professional colleagues, student members and friends of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and welcome you to another episode of ICAN On Air, your great platform for learning, powered by our noble institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I'm your host for today, Tosin Akinwumi, FCA, and I will tell you it's ICAN On Air again today. Please inform your colleagues and friends that the show has begun, and they can be part of this show on ICAN Facebook page or ICAN YouTube channel. And today, Thursday, 19th December 2024, we are looking at another contemporary topic, demystifying cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. And I have here with me a distinguished professional, an intelligent cloud and AI analyst, and the senior finance manager, Microsoft United States, in person of Njideka Okeke, ACA. Please relax, sit back. Of course, get your questions ready as we go to discuss the topic, demystifying cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. Let me quickly go and run some commercials, and I'll be back shortly with my guest on the show today. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
The Skill Up Artisans Program Super is an initiative of the federal government.
The aim of Super is to upskill Nigerian artisans for better employability. This we are carrying out by collecting the data of Nigeria artisans through massive registration, training, certification, and licensing for better job opportunities, both locally and internationally. Super will improve the quality of life of Nigeria artisans. It will improve the quality of work from Nigeria artisans, enhance work and professional ethics from Nigeria artisans, reduce dependency on foreign artisans, and increase foreign exchange through talent export.
Log on to super.itf.gov.ng to register now. Super, upskilling Nigeria artisans for super job.
Welcome back to ICAN On Air, and today's episode we are looking at the topic, demystifying cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. And the guest on the show today is the Senior Finance Manager of Microsoft in the United States, in person of Njideka Okeke, ACA. Njideka, it's a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Tosin. I am really excited to be here today and to have this conversation with you and with other professionals in the field.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly take you through the brief profile of our guest on the show. In terms of her education, she bagged BSc in accounting from Imo State University. She is a fellow from Georgia State University. She also bagged MBA in Olin Business School, Washington University, and she is also an associate member of our noble institute, ICAN. And in terms of her work experience, she has worked in KPMG, she's worked in PricewaterhouseCoopers, and currently she is a senior finance manager in Microsoft United States. And together, we'll be discussing the topic, demystifying cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. I'm sure you are ready. Get your questions available. Of course, trust me, Njideka is ready to shoot on this topic today. So, Njideka, let's go. In the words of Olawale Daniel, who is a personal development coach, he said, and I quote, digital assets will be much bigger and faster than analog assets, and decentralized products will be much bigger than centralized products. Having you as guest on the show today, trust me, will enable our global viewers to actually learn and share from your depth of knowledge and skills in cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. My very first question to you this evening from Nigeria, what are digital assets and how important are they, and what are the types of digital assets that we have out there?
Thank you so much, Tosin, for that question. And just before I get started, I also want to just make a quick statement to say all of the things that will be stated on this call today are specifically my opinions and do not represent the opinion of the company that I work for or have worked for. And I think also does not represent the opinions of the institute. So these are like Tosin and Njideka having a conversation. And also want to clarify that this is not a conversation where we issue like financial investing advice on cryptocurrencies. We're just professionals talking about the new happenings around financial and the digital world today. So to get started, Tosin, your question on what is digital assets. The answer is actually in the name. It is an asset, just like every other class of asset that you exist. You have your cash and cash equivalent, you have inventory, you have receivables. Digital asset is also another type of asset. The one difference with digital asset is that it is digitalized. It is not something that you can physically touch. And to tee up this conversation, I will take a couple of steps back and talk through the evolution of money over the centuries. So starting off with like the bartering system, where you have two people who have goods that the other person may need. So for example, you have cashew and somebody wants apples. That sets you up for exchanging those goods to solve your particular need. And then that evolved into commodity trading. So you have people using seashells, salt, cocoa, and all of the other commodities to trade. And then the next step after that was precious metals, the discovery of gold, the discovery of silver. People began to exchange goods and services for precious metals, which then got the institutions and the government involved, and that created fiat money, which is cash that we have today. And cash money is technically built off of trust in the federal government, in the central bank, in the Federal Reserve of every country and every geographical location. So based off of that, we had cash money that was also used in circulation. And then after we continued into the evolution of the internet, which bettered things like decentralized digital money, which a lot of us currently use today. A very good example of that is PayPal, Cash App, Rent Money. And then we got to the point where even large phone manufacturers began to get involved in centralized digital money. And we started to see things like Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay. So that is how money has evolved over time. And we've gotten to the point of decentralization. Technically, what that means is for all of these parts of money and forms of money that I've explained, starting off from the fiat money, we always have a regulatory body in the form of the government issuing those currencies. In Nigeria, it is Naira and Kobo. In the United Kingdom, it's the British pounds. So you have those limitations where transactions are bound by the government of the country and also by the central bank of the country. So we had issues about people looking to make transfers internationally would have the issue of exchange rates, interest rates, time zone difference. So I think in order to solve for that, with the advancement of technology, we got into the decentralized part of money, which is digital assets. So it takes away the middleman. So there is no government, there is no central bank. It's just a peer-to-peer connection of how transactions are carried out and how payments are done globally. And it is backed up by the cryptographic methodology of transferring money. What that means, it is a word derived from the ancient Greek, where transactions are decoded in a crypt and only the authorized people can access it. So digital money, to wrap up this question, is a digitalized form of an asset that can be traded or used as a store of value across different parts of the world.
Okay, thank you very much. Beautiful and lovely for taking us through that definition and then the explanation behind the definition. So, if you are looking at demystifying cryptocurrencies and other digital assets today, so what are cryptocurrencies? What are the features of cryptocurrencies?
So for cryptocurrency, there are some parts of it that could be confusing to people, and this would be my charge for people to continue to do more research and keep themselves updated, part of which is joining conversations like this hosted by ICAN On Air. So cryptocurrency is a digitalized currency, and the very first one that was created is called the Bitcoin. Now, cryptocurrency is a term that stands for digitalized assets. So we have Bitcoin, which was the very first one that was created around 2008 when a white paper was posted that talked about how to solve for the issues and the bottlenecks that may exist during digital payments. So to solve for issues of a person posting a transaction to one, like making a transaction to Mr. Tochukwu and also making the same transaction to Mr. Femi. So also solving for issues of double payment, issues of fraud. The white paper was posted and it was widely adopted, giving birth to Bitcoin. The next one that became widely popular is Ethereum. And they are all based on the blockchain technology, which technically what that does is for a time when you post a transaction, say you're looking to pay Mr. Kende for a service he's provided to you. As soon as that transaction is initiated, all of the computers and what we call nodes that are on the blockchain technology network will be notified that a transaction has been initiated. And all of these nodes have to validate and verify that that transaction is actually accurate. And when like close to 100% of these nodes are validated, we achieve what we call consensus. So that is to say, all of the nodes in that network agree that this transaction is valid. And at that point, the transaction is added to the block that is now added to the blockchain. So that is what we call the blockchain technology. It is like in accounting, we all started accounting studying the T account and the general ledger, taking us back to our ICAN days. You have your debits and your credits. For your regular financial institutions, when you post a transaction from a bank interbank transaction, one bank has a debit entry in the ledger and the other bank has a credit entry in the ledger. But when you come to the digital world, that ledger is what you call your blockchain. All of the debits and credits per se gets posted on the blockchain. And it is through this consensus, which is the inbuilt safety mechanism, that all of the networks, computers on the network can verify a transaction before it is completely processed and achieve consensus. Then that transaction is written in the block, and then that block gets added to the blockchain. So that is technically how blockchain works. And the assets that are traded, or the currencies that are traded on the blockchain, are things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and the other ones.
Okay, great. I'm actually allowing you time to do those explanations because I know that our participants are actually listening with rapt attention to pick all these words, then put them together to actually understand what we are talking about today. Okay, so a follow-up question here. Beyond investment, what are the real-world applications of cryptocurrency and digital assets in areas like payments, supply chain, and the creative industries?
Yeah, that's actually a very important question, because people, like the name of this conversation or on the topic we're discussing, is demystifying. I think the key word there is demystifying, because people have a lot of opinions, thoughts about what cryptocurrency is. And I also want to state that cryptocurrency is not blockchain. They're like linked, but you hear people talk about, oh, I'm trading in blockchain. That is not the commodity that is being traded. What is being traded are the cryptocurrencies. Now, blockchain is a technology that exists that does a lot of other things. Like, we have majorly like the characteristics of money, and then what money is used for. Money is used as a value of measurement to say, oh, how much is a land worth today based on the economic realities in Nigeria? It is worth X amount. Money can be used to measure the value of that land. Money also is a store of value. And I feel like this one point is what cryptocurrency expands on: a store of value. And that is backed by the technology of the blockchain. So you don't just store money on the blockchain, you store other things like certificates. So to answer your question, other use cases of the blockchain, you have things like certificates. So an example is colleges and institutions where students graduate or complete a course, and these colleges issue a certificate to the graduates. Most institutions today are also placing these certificates or transcripts on the blockchain. And what this solves for is it removes the risk of alteration or manipulation of those documents. So if a person graduates with a first class, it is time stamped that on this day this person graduated with a first class degree in accounting. So there's no way a person can go back and change that to a second class, or change the degree to a degree in social sciences. Another thing that the blockchain technology is used for is for, right now we have companies like DocuSign that have entered into partnerships with Ethereum. When you sign documents digitally, those are also saved on the blockchain for the very same reason of limiting alterations or forgery. You have things like art, like in the form of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, that are also on the blockchain to preserve them as a store of value. Another example that is becoming widespread is concert tickets. So you have a big event happening. In the past, you have cases where people go online, buy a ticket, show up at the venue, only to realize that they have fake tickets. But that has been solved for now using blockchain technology. You go online, you buy a ticket, it gets sent to you. The barcode, the serial number cannot be altered. You don't have cases where people buy 1,000 tickets and multiply it to be 10,000 and sell fake tickets. So these are other use cases of blockchain technology.
Okay, thank you very much for that succinct explanation. Still on cryptocurrency, let's also dive deeper into the subject. So when we hear a phrase like crypto wallets, what does it really mean? How can it be gotten?
Okay. Again, as we go through this topic, if you listen to the terminologies used in the cryptocurrency world, they technically mirror what we use in our everyday world. An example is the crypto wallet. It is technically a wallet, like you probably have in your pocket right now, a wallet, which is where you store your valuables like your credit card, your ID cards, and stuff like that. So a crypto wallet is technically a digitalized version of your everyday wallet where you can store your pass keys. So just like you have your credit card that has like a series of numbers that if you input these numbers on a website, you can pay for goods and services. Or if you take that physical card to a point of sale, you can swipe your card to pay for goods and services. The same thing applies to your crypto wallet. You store all of your pass keys, your public key and your private key. It's like a storage unit for all of that, and it makes it easy for you to access the interface of your crypto, to access your coins, to make transfers and all of that. So in today's world, you have people who have multiple kinds of investments in the cryptocurrencies. You have people who own Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum. So the crypto wallet, it's a place where all of these assets can be stored on your fingertips. You can go on your phone and make transactions and check the value of your assets. You can go on your laptop, on your PC, and do the same as well.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's go to the aspect of our trust and security. Trust is a major consideration in potential and existing investors' decisions. So could you walk us through the security of cryptocurrency transactions from cyber crimes and fraud?
That's a very, very important question as well, because being that it is a digitalized form of transacting, it also exposes a lot of issues when it comes to cyber safety and cyber crime. Now, the beauty with cryptocurrency is the cryptography that is the inbuilt cybersecurity measure. Like I explained earlier, when a transaction is initiated, all of the nodes that are connected to the blockchain network get notified. And all of those computers are verifying and validating the accuracy of that transaction. Now, in the event that most of the computers say this transaction looks legitimate, and how would those computer know that the transaction is legitimate? It's because for each transaction that is raised, there is something called a hash number. It is like a unique identification number. And if you remember when I talked about it, it's a blockchain. So it's a chain of transaction. So what cryptography does is once a transaction is raised, part of the information included in the transaction is the hash number of the transaction prior to the current transaction that is being processed. So if for any reason there has been some alteration or tampering of that hash number, that transaction is rendered invalid. For you to successfully alter a transaction, you need to have the bandwidth to alter all of the transactions prior on the blockchain, which is almost impossible. But that doesn't mean that they have not been instances where fraudulent activities have happened using the blockchain technology. I think most of them, from my research, are around when a person has a data leak where their private key is accessed by somebody else. Just like you leave your credit card lying around and somebody gets they don't need to take your physical card, just having the serial number and the dates, expiration dates, and all of that, they can make transactions without notifying you. So we have instances like that around the private key. That is something that only you should know. So the cryptography technology in the blockchain, it's by itself a safety mechanism.
Okay, great. Great. That means we've been able to see the security features of cryptocurrency. Okay, so let me also dive further. When Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, said, I do think some digital currency will end up being the reserve currency of the world. That statement means that there's something unique about cryptocurrency. So as such, I know you've mentioned that in the previous question, some of them, but I want you to now take us through the pros and cons of cryptocurrency.
Yes. So some of the pros of cryptocurrency are that they are not bound by any one government. So that means there is no exchange rates. If you are looking to transact with someone in the UK and the US, you need to think about exchange rates. And cryptocurrency solves for that. They're not bound by interest rates. They have this autonomy. It is peer to peer. You and I agree to say, for this service you've provided me, I will give you a quarter of a Bitcoin, and that is it. I send it to you. It goes through the whole process of validation. It is approved. You get your payment, done and dusted. So there's no time zone. There is no limitation of financial institutions where, the banks are not open. It's a holiday. Just like we're getting ready to go on Christmas break, you can still make transactions at any time in any part of the world, being that you have internet connection. Then on the con side, one of the cons of cryptocurrency is it is not money in the sense that you can walk into a store and pay for a bottle of water with crypto. It is not yet widely accepted. So you can't pay for a car wash. You can't pay to have your dry cleaning done with crypto. The other limitation of cryptocurrency is not a lot of people fully understand it. That is why we're having conversations like this today.
Exactly.
It is still something that is kind of mystic to some people. Some people don't want to touch it. So I've heard people say stuff like, I don't invest in what I don't understand. So how about you understand it and then make your decision, And then the other issue with cryptocurrencies is the environmental impact that it has. Because what we call crypto mining is the process where all of these computers are solving for the transactions and adding transactions to the block. You're talking of thousands and thousands of computers doing this every time a transaction is processed. That has some impact on the environment. Like you have companies looking to go carbon zero in how they perform their business activities. But digital assets and cryptocurrencies, on the other hand, is consuming a lot of energy, a lot of computing power just to exist. And there's been arguments to say yeah, maybe we'll get to the point where the world moves to close to 90% of solar energy. That can solve for the issue with energy consumption, or things like Ethereum and some other coins that don't need or consume as much computing capacity and energy. So those are some of the cons of cryptocurrency.
Okay, okay. Allow me to also go through to also give a follow-up question there. In terms of you mentioned lack of government control as one of the pros. Don't you also think that that can also be one of the cons?
Absolutely, Tosin. That is one of the cons as well. So there's two school of thoughts. There are those people who say this is great. We don't need to have the government involved in how we transact and interact with other people. And there's people who don't feel very comfortable. Like, how can this be 100% not regulated? That is where people who transact in other things that the government does not approve would want to get payments in crypto because it is not regulated. So yes, you're 100% correct. The lack of government regulation is both a pro and a con when it comes to cryptocurrencies.
All right, all right. Let's quickly take one more question, then we can go for a break here. We have had some investors that spoke about Bitcoin, and we actually want to understand what they are talking about Bitcoin. The first person, Edward Snowden, the American-Russian whistleblower, he said, and I quote, that the unpopular but true, that Bitcoin is the most significant monetary advance since the creation of coinage. And also Michael Saylor, who was the former CEO of MicroStrategy, he also said Bitcoin is digital gold, growing harder, smarter, faster, and stronger due to the relentless progression of technology. Njideka, what kind of message do you think these great men are trying to pass about Bitcoin?
Yes, I think that what they're technically saying is the rate at which the Bitcoin has appreciated in value is really significant. And for you to measure that, you want to compare it to things like NASDAQ or the S&P 500, the stock markets. You compare the stock markets over decades and how much they've grown. And then you think about the most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. I think it kicked into full effect around 2008, 2009. That's like less than 2 decades, but it has almost tripled in value. And with the advancement of digitalization, with the advancement of AI, with the advancement of fintech, people are moving towards simplification of payments. Like you have like your Apple phone now, you can just merge 2 phones and you can send money to people. You can send money through text messages. So what they're saying technically is that the accelerated rate of progression of technology would also feed into the accelerated rate of cryptocurrency valuation.
All right, great, great, great. It's been Njideka Okeke, a member of ICAN, and who has been speaking on the topic, demystifying cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. Let's quickly go and run some commercials. Like we've been saying on this program, ICAN On Air is a platform for members and non-members to run the advert of their programs at an affordable rate. So bring your advert. Let's run with it at affordable rate. So let's quickly go on some commercials. We'll be right back after this time out. Don't go away.
In today's interconnected world, complexity is the new normal. An accountant must navigate this landscape, leveraging interdisciplinary approaches to drive sustainable growth. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, USA District invites you to our 12th ICAN USA International Accountant Conference. Join us for 4 days of inspiring keynotes, interactive sessions, and expert panel sessions. Date is 26th to 31st of August 2025. Theme: Navigating Complexity, Accountants as Catalyst for Interdisciplinary Solutions. Venue is Windham, Indianapolis Airport Hotel, 2544 Executive Drive, Indianapolis, IN 46241. Join the conversation. Shape the future.
The Skill Up Artisans Program Super is an initiative of the federal government.
The aim of Super is to upskill Nigerian artisans for better employability. This we are carrying out by collecting the data of Nigeria artisans through massive registration, training, certification, and licensing for better job opportunities both locally and internationally. Super will improve the quality of life of Nigeria artisans. It will improve the quality of work from Nigeria artisans, enhance work and professional ethics from Nigeria artisans, reduce dependency on foreign artisans, and increase foreign exchange through talent export.
Log on to super.itf.gov.ng to register now. Super, upskilling Nigeria artisans for super job.
All right, if you are just joining us, we are back to the program ICAN On Air, and today's episode we are looking at something great, demystifying the cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. And of course, a great member of the Institute who has been speaking on this topic, the senior manager in Microsoft United States, Njideka Okeke, ACA, has been on the desk speaking on the topic since we have started the program. Please send in your questions. Of course, she is on standby to take your question. And let's quickly go through those who joined us earlier in the program, then we can come back on the topic. We have the Zoom Samuel James streaming live from Jos. Thank you for joining us. Fag Bolate, Mitopia Adeniyi, a regular participant in this program. Well done for joining. We have Janet Nduka ACA streaming from Lagos. We have Larry Daramola FCA from Lagos. We have Umuma NS Chukunaru as another regular participant live from Abuja. You're welcome. I have Abdulatif Yunus, Judith Obuegbulem, Joshua Oluwayemi, all the way from Ibadan, Oyo State, Pete Remy Ezugo, all the way from Delta State, Shoson Olusoji from Abeokuta in Ogun State, Oladeyinde Michael from Ikorodu, Nimota Modupe from Abuja, Akindele Ibrahim from Abuja also, Shokun Babatunde from Ibadan. A whole lot of people have joined us on this program. Trust us, we can't take all of you, but these are those who are early joiners of today's episode. So, Njideka, let's continue from where we stopped. We are talking about demystifying cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. Despite the acceptance of cryptocurrencies, at least to an extent, we can actually say that it's been accepted. What are some of the likely misconceptions that people might have about cryptocurrencies, and what kind of knowledge do they require before getting involved?
Yes, that's a very good question. So I think that what we need to highlight here is the urgency for accountants and other professionals to continue to keep themselves updated in the relevant happenings around the world. Yes, it is happening very fast before our eyes, but it would serve for individuals and also for the institute to continue to move with the times and change with the times. So I would say individuals carrying out their own research, keeping themselves up to date with happenings around the tech world, around the fintech world, and seeing how that applies to their profession, and if they own companies, their companies. As much as cryptocurrency is getting widespread, there's people who still will not touch it. And I don't have a problem whatsoever with that. But the one thing I would say is that at least understand it, so that when you're sitting in conversations and this topic is brought up, you can fully understand. And when you have clients or business partners that come to you with questions to say, I'm thinking about XYZ, you are informed enough to have a very good conversation with them on the pros and cons, on what it is, or on how it works. Even if you have like a relative that is like, hey, I'm looking to invest in this. You're an accountant, you work in finance. You shouldn't say, oh, I don't know what that is. I think it would serve that everybody keeps themselves updated. One second, I think I lost my. It would serve that everybody keeps themselves updated and continue to carry out their own research and continue to have these conversations, join panels like this to continue to stay updated.
All right, all right, all right. That's a very good advice that people, regardless of what you have heard about cryptocurrencies, it is necessary for you to get enough or required knowledge so that you can stay updated. You don't, regardless of the misconceptions, too, we need knowledge. And like we have always been saying in ICAN, knowledge is key, knowledge is paramount, knowledge is ultimate. So we are still speaking on demystifying cryptocurrencies and other digital assets. And of course, we have Njideka Okeke, who has been speaking to us on this topic in particular. You agree with me that cryptocurrencies is a concept majorly finance professionals majorly have had a lot to deal with. We have people coming to us for advice. So what do you think? Should I invest in it and all of that? You need knowledge to actually give such advice and all that. Njideka, sorry, I lost you for a few seconds there, but welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, still cryptocurrencies. And now I want to talk about the ethical considerations. So, what are the ethical considerations and potential social implications of the widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies, especially to developing countries like ours, Nigeria?
I think the ethical aspect of that is going to be around how much involvement the government wants to have with the adoption of cryptocurrencies in a country like Nigeria. And the one point of contact for having that adoption would be around internet access, because it is digital money that is accessed through the internet. So when you have a country like Nigeria, you need to think about internet access, access to computers computers and phones that can access the internet, electricity as well. And then this brings me to the next point about how institutions and companies that are adopting the use of cryptocurrency are exploring the option of measuring and disclosing of their assets in their financial statements. And we are accountants. And like I mentioned earlier, at the end of the day, digital asset is an asset. And based on the International Financial Reporting Standard, IFRS, the classes of assets we have are cash and cash equivalents, inventory, intangible assets, receivables, all of this. And several accounting boards have sat and looked at the definition of digital assets and how it can be classified, how it can be measured, and how it can be disclosed in financial statements. And they came up with two options of what class of asset this fits into. The first is inventory. And on the grounds that you are holding your digital assets with the intention to resell, which is basically the definition of inventory. You hold inventory for the sole purpose of reselling, not for use. And like I stated earlier, cryptocurrency has become a store of value where individuals exchange actual fiat money in terms of paper money, USD, pounds, naira, for digital assets to store value, because you have things like inflation, exchange rates impacting your fiat money. But that is not something that happens with cryptocurrencies. Yes, they do have their issues with how volatile they are. They can rise 1,000% in one day and drop the next day. So the accounting board sat and they said digital assets should be classified as inventory on the grounds that they are held for the main and sole purpose of reselling. But in the event that the organization or the company does not intend to resell, then it should be classified as that is the classification of inventory digital asset as inventory is IS2, but if it does not meet the requirement of IS2, then it should be classified as intangible assets, IS38. Now, intangible asset is bottom line the definition of what digital assets are. So those are the two classifications. Now, for a country like Nigeria, individuals can trade crypto, but when you come to organizations and companies, it is a requirement to disclose your assets. And following the accounting standard, this is how a country like Nigeria can confirm that companies are abiding by the regulations issued by the accounting standard boards.
Okay. Great one, great one. So moving along, a lot has been heard about cryptocurrency scams. We've had a lot of cases being reported and across the news. How can the scams be spotted, avoided, and reported? Are there regulatory bodies or agencies to actually report these scams to?
The closest to what we have as regulatory bodies in the crypto world would be like platforms like Coinbase and all of these other apps that allow people to store and trade in digital assets. And the one thing would be like just like with every cash transaction, you get someone says as they've processed the payment to you, want to check your banking app that actual transaction has flown into your account. It's the same with like the crypto. You want to ensure that you're using the right source of apps, of websites that are verified, that are widely known, to do your transactions, and stay away from anything that looks suspicious. Being that is not a regulated currency, the onus rests on you to do your research, to do your analysis, and if a person is saying that they've sent you a payment, you want to verify that using the right channel. But then a homework that I would give to our audience today is for them to do a research on the percentage of crime or fraudulent transactions based on cash transactions compared to percentage of fraudulent transactions based on crypto-based transactions. So the results that happen on these two levels, they change over time. Sometimes you see more fraudulent transactions on the cash transaction side because, again, it's easy. Somebody just needs to copy your credit card number and they can go online and shop. You have things like identity theft that happens. But then on the crypto side as well, there are cases where the number of fraudulent transactions can rise in 1 month and then drop in another month. But with the advancement of technology, hopefully we get to the point where there are zero fraudulent transactions.
Okay, all right. That's beautiful and it's great. We've had or received messages such as don't listen to influencers about cryptocurrency, they are normally scammers. Who are influencers with respect to cryptocurrency communications or deals? And what are their modus operandi?
Influencers are everywhere today. They influence you to what you buy in terms of clothes, in terms of cars, in terms of jewelry, right? I would say being on a show like this, I won't call this influencing. This is like knowledge sharing to like share and have conversation about the research that we've individually done and the exposures that we have to the cryptocurrency world. But if you're going online to find people to tell you what to invest in, yes, that can fall into the bucket of being influenced. So always when it comes to your finances and as financial professionals and even non-finance professional, I would urge everyone to always carry out their own research. You can listen to any influencer that you want to, but at the end of the day, it is your assets, it is your investment, and you would have a better experience when you carry out your own research, stay up to date about events unfolding around the world, not just in your geographical location. Continue to read on the news, continue to keep yourself updated, then make your decision for yourself instead of listening to just anybody that has a mic and a podcast talking about crypto.
Okay. Let's take a few questions from the audience. We have Fagbola Temitope Adeniyi. So for us, the traditional serial investors who are always afraid of burning our fingers, investment through crypto economy. What is your candid advice on how we can tap into the gains of crypto?
I think it also kind of relates to it. I'm always going to go back to doing your own research, watching the markets, watching the stock market, watching Nasdaq, watching S&P 500, signing up for newsletters that talk about crypto, where every morning you can get like a highlight of all of the happenings, what the accounting standard board is saying, and what all of the government agencies are talking about, and what like the tech industry is talking about. This would be your guide, because this is something that I personally do. This would be your guide into understanding the landscape. And as we're going into 2025, the accounting standard boards are looking to continue to clarify how companies can disclose all of these assets on their financial statement. One of the updates that was recently announced was initially they said the assets should be carried and tested for impairment. And if you remember, I think in the past 5 or 7 years, most accounting standard boards are moving away from testing for impairment to fair valuation. What is the market price as at today. So you have companies required to test for the fair value of the digital assets that they own. So if you're doing a quarterly reporting, you want to test the fair value of the digital assets in your balance sheet. And then if there are any changes up or down, like a gain or a loss, that goes into your profit and loss statement. So
Exactly.
I feel like the same applies with individuals. You want to continue to look at the trends, look at the charts of whatever coin that you're interested in, and then make the call for yourself.
Okay, brilliant submission. Let's take the other question from Boniface. Boniface in Koro is also asking the question: what's the possibility of the survival of this emerging trend in Nigeria, knowing full well that Nigeria is a country governed by old people? Even US is currently being governed by an old person, and even the next president of US is an old person anyway. So, who may resist cryptocurrency survival? That's the question by Boniface. Over to you, Njideka.
Yeah, I don't think that age age plays a factor in this, because the internet can be used by anybody, old or young. You can have access to the internet. A lot of our parents in Nigeria are very active on WhatsApp. Everybody knows that. And you communicate through WhatsApp to call. They communicate through WhatsApp to call their children, to stay in touch with family members that are not in the country. And that is the use of internet. And that also applies to crypto, which is also based on the use of internet. So I think that for the young people, yes, the old people might not be sitting down to listen to conversations like what we're having today, or going on YouTube to look for information, or just going on Google. But it's up to us, the younger generation, to learn these things and share that information. So an example is your parent could say, "Oh, somebody reached out to me to invest in this coin." Now you are aware of what that is, and you can explain to them. It's not that it can be complicated, but you can actually simplify it and make everybody aware, young or old. You can explain it to a 4-year-old kid. You can explain it to your grandmother, to say it is assets, but it is just digitalized. You cannot touch it, but these are the other uses of the blockchain. Like I explained, things like record of safekeeping of record, like contracts, signatures, concert tickets, certifications, all of this stuff. I strongly believe that we will get to the point where even the oldest person would understand the fundamentals of what cryptocurrency is.
Okay, great one. In 30 seconds, Njideka, because our time is fast spent, ICAN is always open to ideas that would positively advance the growth of its members, the accountancy profession at large, and the global business environment. What is your suggestion or advice in filling knowledge gaps to further build the needed intellectual capacity of its members and other professionals, and to effectively engage and contribute during professional and economic discourse? In 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds, still seeing. Okay. So what I would say is ICANN is doing a very great job with keeping its members up to date, and ICANN On Air is an avenue through which that is done. So huge kudos to the team for putting this together. And I can tell you that there are a lot of people from the Institute that are around the world that are actually doing amazing work. So inviting them to speak on conversations like this, to share their knowledge that they've gained from working in their various field, would go a long way. And even if like workshops can be set up where there's a whiteboarding session. I know that right now we're just talking, and I actually wanted this to be a conversation, not me walking through slides. But we can get to that point where we go under the hood and double click into like different things that we've covered today through a workshop where there's a whiteboarding session. We're drawing all of these things out, showing how the graph works, showing how to think about this. I feel like that is the next step that I would say and encourage the institutes to get into.
Wow. You actually simplified cryptocurrencies and you took us down to the classroom. I want to say a very big thank you to the Senior Finance Manager of Microsoft United States, in person of Njideka Okeke, SCA, for coming on the show today and sharing your wealth of experience with our members and the friends of the Institute. On behalf of the producers of this program and the editorial board and our viewers across the globe, we appreciate your time and efforts. And we say when next, or we hope when next you come on this show, or when next we call upon you, you hack into our cause.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tosin, and the entire team behind you for this amazing opportunity. I'm truly grateful to have the opportunity to share my knowledge, and I am 100% ready to come back anytime that you need me.
Thank you very much, Njideka. It's a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much.
Same here.
Let's quickly go and take the announcements we have for you, our members. The Institute will observe its holiday break from today, Thursday, December 19th, to Sunday, January 5th, 2025. Regular operations will now resume Monday, January 6th, 2025. During this period, electronic channels remain accessible for all members and student members. Also, the 24th Fellowship Conferment Ceremony, earlier scheduled for December 12th, 2024, has been postponed due to logistics reasons. We apologize for the inconvenience and appreciate the understanding of all the applicants. Also, ICAN is live on TikTok. Kindly follow us on ICAN.ng to get the very exclusive news, student tips, institute events, behind the scenes content, student insight, and much more. Of course, we have the registration for March 25th and 26th ASWA exams is now open. It has opened since December 5th and will close by March 20th next year. So all ASWA students, please go ahead and register. And lastly, because of our time, the African Congress of Accountants is here again. And come next year between May 6th and May 9th, 2025, accountants from across the continent will gather in the vibrant city of Kigali, Rwanda, for an unforgettable in-person experience. Early bird registration is open until December 31st, 2024. Please don't miss your chance to secure your spot at an exclusive rate. For inquiries, reach out to Bingpe in ICAN or call 070-66-122-759. And dear professional colleagues and our global viewers, you will agree with me that today's program is worth the while, very instructive and highly educating. And that is the show for today. Till I come your way again with another guest, another topical issue, I say stay safe and stay sound. I remain Tosin Akinwumi, FCA, saying thank you for watching and bye for now.